He divorced his wife right after she delivered quadruplets. Before she could even touch her babies, he flung the divorce papers onto her hospital bed. The sharp corners scraped her trembling fingers as he barked, "Sign it now. I'm done with you. And don't you dare come near me with the babies again." Her whole body shook as tears splashed onto the papers, and she whispered, "Please, Mark. We can talk after. Please." But he only stepped back with disgust. His mother stood beside him, arms folded, smiling like she had waited her entire life for this moment before saying coldly, "You finally got what you deserved, you barren waste of space. I'm glad my son finally listened. He's moving on with a woman of status. You'll survive." In that instant, something inside Amara shattered quietly but completely. Her heart broke. And in that break, something dangerous awakened, something that would destroy them all. But before we begin, if you believe women deserve love, protection, and respect, don't watch silently. Make sure to subscribe. It's a simple way for women to stand with other women. And please drop a comment telling us the exact time and place you're watching from. It means more than you know. Now let's go back to where it all started. The bathroom floor was cold against Amara's knees as she stared at the pregnancy test in her trembling hands. One line. Always one line. She dropped it into the wastebasket where 17 others had landed this year alone. Each one was a silent scream her body refused to hear, her fingers pressed against her flat stomach, willing a life to be there that simply refused to take root. "Still nothing?" The voice came from the doorway. Amara didn't need to look up to know it was Beatrice, Mark's mother. The woman had never knocked in the 5 years Amara and Mark had been married. She had a key, and she used it like a weapon. "No, Beatrice," Amara whispered, wiping her eyes. "Not this month." "Pathetic," Beatrice sneered, adjusting her pearl necklace. "My son needs an heir, Amara. He is a rising star in Manhattan real estate. He needs a legacy. And you are merely an anchor dragging him down to mediocrity. If you can't give him a child, what use are you?" In the beginning, Mark had defended her. He would wrap his arms around Amara and tell his mother to back off. But that was before the promotions. That was before the late nights at the office. That was before Mark Davidson started believing his own hype. Over the last year, Mark had changed. The sweet, ambitious man who loved Amara's cooking and her nursing stories had vanished. In his place was a man obsessed with appearances. He started criticizing Amara's natural hair, suggesting she straighten it to look more professional for his company dinners. He complained that her nursing scrubs were unflattering. And then there was the smell. It started 6 months ago, a lingering scent of Chanel No. 5 on his collars. It wasn't Amara's perfume. When she asked, he gaslighted her. "You're crazy, Amara. It's probably a client. You're so insecure lately. It's unattractive." But it wasn't a client. It was Chloe Hartwick. Chloe was everything Amara wasn't in Mark's eyes. She was the daughter of a venture capitalist. She was blonde, 26, and moved through the world with the careless arrogance of someone who had never heard the word no. She had walked into Mark's firm to buy a penthouse and ended up buying Mark. When Amara finally fell pregnant, a miracle, the doctor said, it wasn't just one baby, it was 4. Quadruplets. She thought this would save them. She thought Mark would look at the ultrasound and remember the love they once shared. Instead, he looked at the 4 tiny heartbeats on the monitor and saw only expense. He saw distinct obstacles between him and the life Chloe was promising him. 4? Mark had said in the doctor's office, his face pale. "How are we supposed to maintain our lifestyle with 4 kids, Amara?" He didn't know it then, but he had already checked out. He was just waiting for the delivery to make his exit. The hospital corridor gleamed under harsh fluorescent lights, sterile and cold, as Mark Davidson stood frozen outside the delivery room door. His 32-year-old frame seemed to have aged a decade, his shoulders hunched beneath an expensive suit. Beyond that door, Amara, beautiful, exhausted, magnificent Amara, had just delivered 4 healthy babies after 18 hours of labor that had nearly claimed her life twice. Mark didn't go inside to hold her hand. He didn't rush to see his children. Instead, his phone buzzed. It was Chloe. "Is it done? I'm waiting at the Ritz." The suite is booked. Don't make me wait, Mark. You promised. Chloe was waiting in a suite that cost more per night than most people's monthly rent. She had spent the last month whispering in his ear that men like him deserved women who understood ambition. Women who came from the right families. Women who could open doors, not just fix broken bones like a nurse. It's done, Mark typed with trembling fingers. Mr. Davidson, Mark jumped. A nurse, Gloria, emerged from the room beaming. 4 perfect babies, 3 girls and a boy. Your wife is asking for you. She's been so brave. Mark nodded mechanically. He walked through the doors, but not as a father. He walked in as an executioner. Through the small window, he saw Amara. She was propped against white pillows, her dark skin glistening with perspiration. 4 tiny bundles surrounded her in clear bassinets. She looked up, her eyes full of tears and love, her face glowing with a beauty that transcended exhaustion. Mark, she rasped, reaching a hand out. Come see them. They're perfect. Mark stayed by the door. He reached into his jacket pocket. He didn't pull out a gift. He pulled out the papers his lawyer had prepared a week ago. Amara, we need to talk. His voice was flat, rehearsed. I can't do this anymore. This marriage, this life, it's not what I want. The monitor beside the bed beeped steadily, measuring a heart he was about to break. What? Amara whispered. I'm saying it's over. I want a divorce. He threw the papers onto the bed. They landed next to the foot of their newborn son. I've met someone else, someone compatible with where I'm going in life. You're doing this now? Amara's voice rose, cracking. I just gave birth, Mark, to 4 children. Who is she? It doesn't matter, Mark lied. Just sign the papers, I'll pay child support. But I'm leaving. Amara looked at him, really looked at him, and saw the stranger he had become, the weakness, the greed. Get out, she said, her voice turning to ice. Get out of this room, and when my lawyer contacts you, you're going to learn exactly how expensive this decision will be. Mark turned and walked out. He felt relief. He thought he was walking toward freedom. He had no idea he was walking off a cliff. 3 months dissolved into a blur. For Amara, it was a blur of sleepless nights, feeding schedules, and the terrifying reality of raising 4 children alone on a nurse's salary while recovering from a C-section. For Mark, it was a blur of realizing he had traded gold for glitter. The penthouse Chloe insisted they rent consumed 40% of Mark's monthly income. The lease agreement sat on a glass coffee table, imported from Italy, next to invoices for furniture that cost more than luxury cars. Babe, we need to talk about the vacation house in the Hamptons. Chloe emerged from their bedroom. She looked stunning, of course. She spent 3 hours a day making sure she did. But her face held that look Mark had learned to dread, the look of an expensive request. The Hamptons house, she repeated, filing her nails. Ashley's husband just bought them a place in Martha's Vineyard. It's embarrassing that we're still renting in the city for the summer. Chloe, the Hamptons house is $3 million, Mark said, rubbing his temples. I'm paying child support for 4 kids. The partnership bonus hasn't come in yet. Then make more money, she snapped, her mask of sweetness slipping. I didn't leave Richard for someone who was going to penny pinch. Richard would have bought me that house. Richard, her ex, the billionaire. Mark was always competing with a ghost. Maybe you should have stayed with Richard then, Mark shot back. Chloe's eyes narrowed. Maybe I should have. At least he understood what it takes to keep a woman like me happy. I have options, Mark. Don't forget that. Mark sat back, the silence of the penthouse deafening. He missed the smell of Amara's jollof rice. He missed her laughter. He missed the way she used to massage his shoulders after a long day without asking for a diamond bracelet in return. His phone buzzed. It was an urgent email from his lawyer. Subject, urgent, Amara Davidson. Update. Mark opened it, annoyed. Probably Amara begging for more money. He read the first line. Then he read it again. The blood drained from his face so fast he nearly fainted. Mark, you need to sit down. Amara's legal team just contacted us. Her uncle in Lagos, the one she rarely spoke about, it turns out he was a petroleum mogul. He passed away last month. He had no children. He left his entire estate to Amara. Mark scrolled down, his breath hitching. The preliminary valuation of the estate is approximately $500 billion. Yes, billion. She is now technically one of the wealthiest women on the planet. Mark dropped the phone. It clattered against the marble floor. $500 billion. Amara, who clipped coupons. Amara, who worked overtime shifts while pregnant. Amara, who he had discarded like trash because he wanted a rich lifestyle. She could buy and sell Chloe's entire family 1,000 times over. What's wrong? Chloe asked, looking up from her phone. Did your card get declined again? Mark looked at Chloe. He saw the fake tan, the superficial eyes, the bottomless pit of need. Amara, Mark whispered. She inherited money. A lot of money. Chloe's ears perked up. Oh, so we can stop paying that ridiculous child support? No, Chloe, you don't understand. She inherited billions. The room went silent. Mark tried to call Amara immediately. Blocked. He tried to go to the apartment. Security turned him away. 2 days later, he was summoned. Not to a court, but to the headquarters of Davidson and Holloway, the real estate firm where he was a junior partner. He walked into the boardroom, adjusting his tie, confident he could fix this. He would apologize. He would say he made a mistake. He would play the father card. Surely Amara wouldn't keep the children from their father. But when he opened the door, the senior partners weren't sitting at the head of the table. Amara was. She looked breathtaking. She wore a tailored white suit that screamed power. Her hair was styled in intricate braids adorned with gold cuffs. She didn't look like the exhausted woman in the hospital bed. She looked like a queen. Beside her sat a team of lawyers who looked like sharks in human skin. And in the corner, holding one of the babies, was Gloria, the nurse from the hospital, now clearly employed as a private nanny. Amara, Mark said, putting on his best smile, you look incredible. I heard the news. I'm so happy for you, for us. Think of what we can do for the kids. Sit down, Mark, Amara said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried a weight that slammed him into the nearest chair. We need to discuss the terms of the divorce, Mark stammered. I know I messed up, but the divorce is already finalized, Amara interrupted. My lawyers found the evidence of your affair dating back 6 months into my pregnancy. In this state, that counts as marital fraud. You get nothing, no alimony, and because of the emotional distress and abandonment, I have full sole custody. You get supervised visits. Once a month. Once a month? Mark stood up. You can't do that. I'm their father. You're a sperm donor, Amara corrected. A father is the man who stays. But I can fight this. I'm a partner at this firm. I have resources. Amara smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of the wolf looking at the rabbit. That brings me to the second item on the agenda, she said, sliding a folder across the huge mahogany table. Mark opened it. It was a deed of sale. What is this? My uncle's portfolio was vast, Amara explained calmly. He liked to invest in American real estate, specifically commercial development firms. Mark looked at the senior partner, Mr. Holloway, who was looking at the floor, refusing to meet Mark's eyes. Mr. Holloway wanted to retire, Amara continued, so I made him an offer he literally couldn't refuse. I bought the firm, Mark. I own the building. I own the contracts. And I own your employment agreement. Mark felt the room spinning. You bought the company. I did. And as the new majority shareholder, I've decided to make some restructuring changes. Amara stood up, walking slowly around the table until she stood right behind him. She leaned down, whispering into his ear, the same ear Chloe had whispered poison into months ago. We have a strict morality clause in our partner contracts, Mark. Conduct unbecoming of a representative of the firm. Abandoning a wife and newborn quadruplets creates a terrible public image. We can't have that. Amara, please, Mark begged, tears welling in his eyes. The penthouse. Chloe, I have bills. If you fire me, I lose everything. You lost everything the moment you walked out of that hospital room, Amara said softly. She straightened up and looked at security. Mr. Davidson is no longer an employee. Please escort him out. And make sure he returns his company car and phone before he leaves the lobby. Mark was escorted out of the building he used to think he ruled. He stood on the sidewalk holding a cardboard box with a stapler and a photo of himself, a photo taken before he ruined his life. His phone, his personal one, the cheap one, rang. It was Chloe. "Mark, the card was declined at Saks. This is humiliating. Fix it right now or don't bother coming home." Mark looked at the phone. He looked at the tall glass building where Amara sat in the sky, nursing his children, ruling an empire. He laughed, a dry, broken sound. "I can't fix it, Chloe," he said. "I'm fired. The money is gone. All of it." There was a pause on the other end. "What? I'm broke. And Amara, she owns everything." "You loser," Chloe spat. "Don't come back here." "I'm changing the locks." The line went dead. Mark stood alone on the busy New York street. People rushed past him, indifferent to his ruin. He had chased the illusion of a better life, only to find that he had held paradise in his hands and thrown it away for a mirage. He had wanted a woman of status. He had one. She was the mother of his children, and now she was untouchable. Inside the boardroom, Amara walked over to the window. She watched the small figure of Mark disappear into the crowd. She didn't feel joy. She didn't feel sadness. She felt peace. She turned back to her babies. The nanny, Gloria, smiled. "You did good, Mrs. Davidson. Or should I say, Miss Okiki?" Amara smiled, picking up her daughter. "Miss Okiki sounds just fine." Mark Davidson learned the hard way that the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. He let his garden die to chase a plastic flower, and now he has to live in the desert he created. What do you think? Did Mark deserve total ruin? Or was Amara too harsh? If you were in Amara's shoes with $500 billion, would you have helped him or crushed him? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, life has a funny way of returning the energy you put out. Be careful who you step on today. They might be the one signing your paycheck tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story if you believe in karma. See you in the next one.